Can you tell us about the evolution of the different products there? Was one of those the first, and do they differ that much? Do they look similar on the inside? I mean, they've got different shells on the outside, but how different is each one of these guys?
So great question. So a lot of folks that I do hundreds of webinars and stuff, they thought this was like a virtual type of background. I'm actually here in the office. I think one time I was answering someone's question and I got up and they almost passed out because they thought it was just a screen. But no, I'm here in the office at Knightscope headquarters. We have 4 machines behind me. If you go to knightscope.com, you can check out more in detail. The basic underlying architecture of what they do is common, maybe something similar to what I learned in Detroit. So we have a K1 that's stationary, both for indoors and outdoors, and you might find it at ingress and egress locations for lots of humans or lots of vehicles, and that's this one. Then we have 2 K3s. These are 4 foot tall, 2 foot wide, 340 pounds, primarily for indoor usage. So think of a hospital, a warehouse, or even a mall. And then the most popular one is the K5. That's 5 foot tall, 400 pounds, primarily for outdoors. Most of our business is outdoors. Everyone thinks, not everyone, a lot of folks think that most of the criminal activity is indoors and it's actually outdoors. So don't quote me here, but I think about 80% of our business is outdoors. And that's the most popular model across the country. The one that's use of proceeds for this new financing to finish the development on the K7. That's the size of a small car, intended to handle much more difficult terrain. So think of gravel, dirt, sand. We're not going off-roading here, but most of our machines can handle wherever a vehicle, an ADA compliant area like a wheelchair can go. Like up and down a 9-story parking structure would be something similar. But a lot of clients have gravel. So think of the Southern Company. They have 3,000 power utility substations all on gravel. The Department of Homeland Security is like, hey, it's almost 2 decades since 9/11. Do you think you want to secure your facilities? Yes, but I don't want to pay $25 an hour for a human to sit out there and stare at a fence. So there's a lot of opportunities there, and what you'll see over the next coming years is different form factors to be responsive to the market, and then have these machines be able to see, feel, hear, and smell, and do 100 times more than a human could ever possibly do.
So you've had over $10 million in revenue since starting in 2013. How does that model work? You guys introduced a term to me, MaaS, machine as a service. We've heard of travel as a service, software as a service. Tell me how that works out and why you chose that model.
Yeah, so 2 comments. One, I'll answer the question, but the first comment is I find it humorous sometimes. We just talked about $80 billion goes into a sector and nothing comes out. And folks are like, well, it's only $10 million of lifetime revenue. I'm like, hey, hold on, like 200 people have shipped literally 0. And we get dinged for the number being a tad too low. We'll get there. That's the growth capital that we're raising now, so that we're kind of in the rinse and repeat mode. But on the machine as a service business model, I'll answer it from 2 different perspectives. Kind of why is a client interested, and then why would an investor be interested? A client, an off-duty law enforcement officer armed, and this varies widely across the country, it's about $85 an hour, plus or minus. An unarmed guard, depending on what you want him or her to do, maybe $15 to $35 an hour. And then that's what the client pays, not necessarily what the guard gets paid. We offer a technology on a machine as a service business model, as you mentioned, at an effective price of $4 to $11 an hour. And so that gets you in the door, right? Most security teams look like a cost center for their clients. They don't generate revenue, not necessarily brand enhancing, and usually get the chopping block and limited budget and limited resources until something goes wrong. And then why didn't you do your job, right? So this is like a very difficult part of the totem pole for an organization. So that gets you in the door because folks are either limited on budget or looking genuinely for cost reduction. So if you're burning $150 million a year in security guards, like you're going to want to look at it. So $4 to $11 an hour seems a little too low from an investor's perspective. It's like, how the heck are you going to make money doing that? So we sign year-long contracts running 24/7. So each machine will generate on the order of, let's say, $70,000 to $100,000 per annum per machine. It costs us less than $60,000 to build a machine. We physically build them here ourselves. So we design everything, we engineer it, we build it, we deploy it, we support it. And so the idea is to recover the cost of the machine in the first calendar year. And then the second, third, fourth, fifth year, you're basically printing money. Because it's a service, you need to allocate some reserves to cover maintenance, service, support, cellular costs, upgrades, or what have you. So if all works out on the high side, we should be looking at about $250,000 of profit per machine over that 5-year period. Said differently, we've got luxury automotive per unit economics, i.e. you're buying a new Tesla every year, but the margins look more like a software as a service company. So a lot of focus usually is on the shiny objects behind me, but where the juice is and where our clients utilize is, as you mentioned, the KSOC. And this is a browser-based user interface that we built for our clients to be able to interact with the machines. So you can see here, this is a plan view of Knightscope headquarters. I can zoom in here a little bit. So this is right above me. We've got a couple machines here. And if I want, I can just kind of quickly here, this machine's charging right now, but you can see that you've got full video of what's going on there. I can hit the HD button. Actually, I can move this over here, and you can see another machine patrolling there. I can hit the HD button and get high definition video from the machine. So a guard can create a clip here, and if I move over to the right-hand side, an officer can sound the alarm. You can listen to what's going on in the environment. There's a really bright strobe light you can turn on and off as well. The guard can park the machine, can stop the machine. If I actually go over here to the indoor one, so we're on COVID lockdown here, so I'm not the only person in the building, but it's a little empty. So if we do this here, you can do announcements on pre-recorded or text to speach. So I can just, I don't know, hit the button here and the machine can say good afternoon, or you can say, step away from the machine or what have you.
Step away from the machine. Your actions are being recorded for your safety.
And so the machines that can be automated. Can be by time, by location, by detections. You see a person, you can actually have the machine do that in an automated manner. And then, okay, that's great, but what do the machines do? Like, what do they see? So one thing that we can do is detect a person. Let's say you're a commercial property owner. Between 10 o'clock at night and 5 o'clock in the morning, you don't want anyone waltzing around your facility. And so we can set this up so that when we see a person, not the person, a person, an alert can go to the guard either by email, text, phone call, or here on the user interface. We can also do the person. So for facial recognition is very popular in casinos, actually for 2 reasons. One is, hey, we threw that person out yesterday. That one's a drug dealer. That one's counting cards, and they literally upload the image. And then one of our clients has 6 machines at one location, and the machines are literally on the lookout for that person. And we can do this with, obviously a suspicious looking person here. You can do this with a mask or no mask and still have that effective. The other thing I was going to say on the casino side, they've actually uploaded the VIPs. Hey, so Sarah's here. She dumped $10 million last weekend. Can someone from guest services get down there? That can also be helpful from that standpoint. We can also read 1,200 license plates a minute. and then run that against a database. And you can also populate if a person's tied to that particular license plate. And then we can also say, hey, that particular vehicle is parked in that location, in that parking space for 4 hours, 10 minutes, and 32 seconds, right? And so you can use it for parking enforcement. Let's see what else we got up here. You can also do thermal detection. So we can run a thermal scan of the environment. So if I pull this picture, if I pull this picture up, you'll be able to tell that there's a vehicle there, and it's probably over 400 degrees. So we set an alert there, and that can be really helpful for forensics. Another thing we can do here is treat this device, your mobile device, as if it's a license plate. So if I go here, this is a former employee of ours who spent a lot of time helping us build all this stuff. We blacklisted his device. We think it was made by Samsung. Here is the timestamp of the first time that was on premise and the last time that was on premise. And here's all the history of that device coming in and out of the facility. And we can tell you what distance on a timestamp that device occurred. So if I stop there for a moment, let's say, so we have a half a dozen Fortune 1000 clients. Let's say they fired someone yesterday, Samsung, Citizens Bank, pick your favorite firm, and it didn't go well. And you're worried they're going to come back, or at a school. So you can blacklist their license plate, you can blacklist all their mobile devices, and you can blacklist their face. And then the machines are literally on the lookout 24/7 for those detections. Other thing that's not ready for prime time yet, but a little sneak peek here for the group. We've been working on elevated body temperature to add to the K1 machine. There's been an ongoing request from several of our prospective or incoming clients, and we're able to run a thermal scan and then run it depending on the temperature that you're seeking, and then make an announcement and have the guard be able to do this remotely and not physically have to be there. So hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers, next month we'll be able to release this, but some good initial testing. And then the machines generate over 90 terabytes of data a year, so you can end up, creating all kinds of crazy graphs and analysis there. And then the last thing that we're pretty proud of is we're operating from Alaska to Rhode Island across 5 time zones, 24/7, 365, in the rain, at night, through snowstorms. We're on our 4th winter. And as I mentioned earlier, we've operated well over 1 million hours in the field. And so we have a lot of lessons learned that give us more than a competitive advantage. I think we've probably forgotten more in this building of how to do this than most people would know. But hopefully that gives you just a very quick overview of how the technology has evolved and is utilized today.